You're watching Byline Wilmington on CBS 10 WILM. Here's your host, Don Ansell.
Immigration attorney Ken Hatcher also works in the Public Defender's Office, is joining us as one of our guests. The Vice Chair of the New Hanover County Commission, Jonathan Barfield, is also with us. The Commission voted in a very narrow 3-2 vote to support the Arizona immigration law, the controversial SB 1070 law. And so we're talking about this whole immigration issue here on Byline this morning. So would it be fair to say if you're white with no accent, you would be not as likely to be stopped under SB 1070 and asked for documentation than someone that has darker skin and maybe looking Mexican or more Latino and with an accent? Would that be a fair statement?
I would think it would be. I was talking to the mayor of the city of Wilmington, Bill Stafford, and he said he's been told that he looks like he may be from Puerto Rico. So he would have concerns about would he be stopped because his skin is a little bit darker than the average person because he's Greek.
Anecdotally, a person told me they drove into their subdivision, this was last year, there was a patrol car, and I won't say the law enforcement agency, northern part of the county. I will say it wasn't the sheriff's department, but a law enforcement agency had a patrol car at the entrance to the subdivision. As this person pulled in, "What's going on?" she said to the patrol officer. "Something happened here?" And this patrol officer said to her, "No, this is where the Mexicans are driving down and they drive without licenses." So how would this patrol officer know who to stop except by their appearance? And I spoke with a veteran who is disabled who said because of his Hispanic background, now this is a citizen of the United States, he's certain that the number of times he's been stopped, a number of the times he's been stopped, have been simply because he appears to be Hispanic.
And of course, if you talk to local law enforcement leaders in this region, City Police Chief Ralph Evangelos, New Hanover County Sheriff Ed McMahon, they will say racial profiling does not happen in this area. Are they unaware? Are they living in a parallel life?
Well, the reality is with the local police department, they actually fill out a racial profiling form or a profiling form every time they pull someone over at a stop. It is a federal form that they have to fill out to make sure that someone's not pulling over blonde ladies that are 5'2" on a regular basis. And they actually track that information to make sure, again, you don't have officers that are doing that.
So city, what are you saying? The county doesn't have to do that, so maybe they're racial?
Well, I'm sure that it applies to both, but I was talking with the Wilmington police officer who was sharing that information with me.
So if they have to give a reason they pulled the person over in that profile?
Well, basically, it's not the reason why, but they pretty much
just sheer numbers
show who they're pulling over. You know, the racial makeup, whether they're male, female.
But we seem to be saying two different things. You got pulled over, you know people that got pulled over, and yet it doesn't happen. Does it or doesn't it here, racial profiling?
It definitely does happen. Just happened to be at a breakfast with the mayor of Wilmington, the mayor pro tem, chairman of our board, our respective managers, and we were talking about this issue because we just talked about it in our agenda briefing where I used the phrase driving while black. And our county manager had never heard that phrase before. And so at our breakfast meeting that morning, I asked Mayor Pro Tem, I said, what does DWB mean? He said driving while black. It's a very well-known thing.
Earl Sheridan,
correct.
Mayor Pro Tem, who's also African-American, right?
Correct. It is a very well-known phrase that we use within the black community, DWB. It just happens.
So it does happen
throughout the country.
And
I would say that there's only a small percentage of people that have that mindset, but it does happen.
It happens, and
if the law enforcement officer wants to stop people who are driving without licenses, they understand that if you're an undocumented alien, you can't get a license. So it's likely to enforce the driving laws that they would want to stop people who are Hispanic looking. I don't want to suggest that that's animosity towards Hispanics, but it's the result of and they're going to catch in that net perfectly law-abiding U.S. citizens, and that's the issue. Is that it's too broad spread.
Of course, we stop people. There are traffic stops all the time for no reason. That whole People driving down 17 get stopped for no reason at all, other than we want to see if you're driving drunk, and so we're going to stop everybody and see. What's different about that?
Well, to me, that stop is for everybody. It's not singling out any particular group of people. It's for anyone who comes at that checkpoint. That I have no problems with. When you talk about immigration bills and laws, the question that I asked some gentlemen the other day was, what do you think that the Native Americans thought way back when illegal immigrants came to their country? And what happened with those folks? But it is indeed a question.
Yeah,
What that law in Arizona did is to make the federal immigration law a state crime, giving the police officers jurisdiction to arrest and stop people and investigate violations of the federal immigration law because they've been converted into state law, vastly expanding the burden on law enforcement to enforce now a whole new set of laws.
Which comes back to your question, how are we going to pay for it? But we all get stopped and asked for documentation all the time. Driver's licenses, car insurance proof of car insurance. Sometimes for apparently no reason. Should people have citizenship proof as well?
Well, that actually is a national issue, and the libertarian movement would oppose any kind of national ID document. But that's probably where we need to go in terms of keeping undocumented aliens from working illegally in the United States. Some form, maybe a Social Security card that has some verifiable biometrics as an ID that gives to show that you're a citizen lawfully entitled to work in the United States. We probably have to go in that direction.
We're going to take a short break. We'll come back with more with Ken Hatcher, Immigration Attorney, Vice Chair of the New Hanover County Commission, Jonathan Barfield. When we come back, the federal government's not doing the job, so says Arizona and many other states. What should we do? Stay with us.